episode of The F Word is Friends, and we have Kelly from Friends with us today, a local branding agency. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Laura.
Now, probably to put it into context, Kelly and I have known each other since almost day one of Whyfield, where we bumped into each other at a business show. Kelly took one look at our brand, sort of gasped in horror, and and came to our rescue. So if we're sort of laughing and sharing stories through this, I think it's because she's been an integral part of the Whyfield journey, and someone who we absolutely love working with and spending time with.
Thanks.
That's okay. So, Kelly, branding.
Yeah.
Tell us what it is.
Big question. Let's just get
We'll start with
yeah, I mean, you could literally just talk about that question all day long, but I guess, branding is the feeling that you leave with somebody after they have had either like a physical connection with your business or your person, or at some kind of interaction with your business. So that could be like a physical form, i.e. they meet you in person or they meet one of your team in person at an event. It could be the signage outside your building. It could be digital experience that they have, so what they see and how they communicate with you and what you put out on your socials, and then there's like really macro levels of branding as well. So it's every kind of interaction and touch point and experience your audience or indeed like your own team have with your business, I would say. So branding is like what's in your bones, and and then successful branding is if you can communicate what's in your bones and what you're all about in a really successful, honest, authentic, and I think beautiful way. So,
I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
That was a very, very good description.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably talk about that question for an hour on its own.
The philosophy of branding.
Yeah, the philosophy of branding, and loads of people have got all sorts of, things, but that's how I look at it. It's every interaction that a person has, and obviously sometimes branding is for business, but sometimes it's personal brand, for like solo entrepreneurs, or like if you're a writer or an artist or something. So it's not, people don't always think of a big corporate brand. It can be something quite small and beautiful as well, but the philosophy is the same. It's every interaction somebody has with your business. It's your brand.
So in an ideal world, when would be the best time for someone to think about their brand? Let's talk dream.
Before they start. Yeah. And and I think honestly it's quite a long time before you start. So if you were thinking, I'm going to launch, what are we in now? We're in May. So if you're thinking, I want to launch a business and I want to launch it in September, personally, I would say starting now, it's probably too late. Like it's going to be rushed. I think in all honesty, if you had the dream, 12 months from beginning to launch is probably a really lovely amount of time. And I think it gives you the chance to really hone in on your strategy and your purpose and what you're all about, and just not rush that process. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like so many people just think a brand identity, the brand identity of a business is like, let's just whip up a logo. Let's just whip up a colour palette, couple fonts, boom, done. Not really.
And it might get you started.
It might get you started, yeah. But everything becomes so much easier when you know what's in your bones. And actually, it takes time for that to percolate and for you to like feel comfortable with it. It's really interesting. I've been thinking about this actually recently, because when you've been communicating, when we went to that event in Falmouth a few months ago, and you were chatting about your story of like how you got into accounting and that kind of thing, and that was one of the first times you'd have given that story in person, and I thought that was pretty wildly interesting from my point of view, because what I got from that, Laura, was that the reason that you started Whyfield in the way that you started it is because you just wanted to do it better. It was really simple. Like your purpose was like, I want to create an environment and a business, accountancy. It could have been anything, but it's accountancy because you're brilliant at numbers. And you just wanted to do it better, and you wanted to do it better than other people. You wanted it to be a kind and caring environment, and that was your purpose. But funnily enough, when we first met, I knew that about you, but you didn't write any of those answers down.
No.
You know, when we did your very first
When you tried
brand
to draw
discovery,
all of
you
that
didn't
stuff
even
out.
hardly fill it in. I like doing numbers. Like you didn't, and it's because that would have taken, that's taken 10 years. It's been a 10-year process for you to actually verbally stand up in a room and say to people, these were my experiences. I had a young child and I was rushed back into work and I wasn't taken care of. And now I'm a leader and a boss in my business and I have a beautiful team. And it's no surprise that majority of your team are ladies because you've created this nurturing, caring environment that allows them to live their life. And part of our life, our working life is having a family, whether you're a man or a woman, obviously, particularly if you're a woman, that you want to have some time off, with your new child, with your newborn child for that first year, especially. So it's really interesting that your purpose was just so obvious from the beginning, but actually it's been a 10-year journey for you to say that out loud. So when I say a year is an ideal start, that's still a really small amount of time, but you can see that those conversations, and if you're bringing in somebody, an agency or designer, brand strategist, any of those people to come and help you, need to spend that time. You need to have those conversations. And we always say to our clients at the beginning, we know that you're so desperate to see something on the screen. We know it. We know you're like picking up the phone or emailing us. Hey guys,
you just want to get started.
Is you going to be presenting to me next week? Is there anything to see? And it's like, we have to get in your head, and that takes time. And we need to ask certain questions, and we just need to spend time with you and just understand, you as a business owner or, as a team. It needs to come from the top, and then when you can work out, what your purpose is, because that's the thing. Like a lot of business owners, this is me, this is my personality, this is what I believe in, but here's my business. I think they meld. I think it's not like Whyfield in your terms is Laura White, and it's because you're a team, but your values and your purpose meld into that business because you started this business, and almost all businesses fall into that same kind of story. The business owner starts something because they have a passion and a drive for something, and even though you might fast forward like 5 years or 10 years and there's 100 employees, like 1,000 employees, it started from one person pretty much. Like somebody had that vision at the beginning to start that journey, that brand. And so it's like, what was that purpose? I think pretty much, we're all individual people, aren't we? So every business can be unique, even if, there's hardly any businesses in the world that are, on their own. I design and make a Hoover, or, I'm a fashion brand, or I make bread, or, big deal. Loads of people make bread or make Hoovers and this, that and the other. So when, we're not like out there on our own doing one unique thing that nobody else has got. But, but the thing that we do have is we are all individuals, and we do all have a different purpose. And so all businesses can be unique. That's a really beautiful thing about branding. There might be a bit of a bee in my bonnet that I think loads of people worry too much about what everyone in their industry is doing, and they look at like, what are all my competitors doing? Oh, we need to do that. That's what, but actually that's nonsense, isn't it? You just need to communicate who you are and what you're all about, and do that honestly. Well, there's a huge lack of honesty with people that just say they might spend a day chatting about teamwork and writing all their values up on a board, but they're just words. But if you don't live and breathe those honestly and authentically, then they're just words on a wall, or they get put in a drawer, don't they? So I think that's that's how Darren and I in our business, we sometimes challenge our clients because we say, is that right? What you're trying to do?
Sure?
You say that you're all about quality and stuff, but you've done that really cheaply. And there could be a nicer way of doing that, which would create a more beautiful experience for either your customer or like, your members of the team. So, yeah.
So branding, I mean, it sounds like it's something that's going to constantly evolve.
Yeah.
as your business does, as your business finds its feet or finds its rhythm, that your brand can grow with you. So you don't need to necessarily know all of those answers from day one, but that honest conversation about why you're doing what you're doing and how you want it to be different from anyone else is actually more important than the sector you're in.
And I think it's about making time to have those conversations and having that, those thoughts that percolate. So it's making time in your diary. I think often, a lot of businesses get to a point where they've maybe been trading for an amount of years, and they know they have like they don't feel in love with their brand anymore. I mean, maybe that sounds a bit, but they're not in love with it anymore. And, they may be a bit dismissive of it. They've got bored of it. Well, if you're bored of it, like, how do you think your team and your clients and your audience are feeling if you're bored of it? But then they don't know what to do because they think, I spent so much time on this, 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And, we put an amount of budget and it should just be done. But we're not done, are we? Because we're always evolving, human beings, we're always evolving, our business is always evolving. So it's about making time, whether that's at the end of every year, every 6 months, just making a bit of time, with whoever's in your business, whether you have like internal marketing people or like bringing in external, people like myself, and just to see like, where are we? Is our brand still relevant? Is it keeping up with our business? And I think what we find is often the business service, or the product that a business creates or makes or delivers has outrun the brand identity and the vision, and outrun the vision, really. And so everything aesthetically and visually hasn't, is way behind where the business has gone. And then usually the business owner like panics because they're like, ugh. And then they go, well, we need a massive rebrand. They probably don't need a massive rebrand. You just need to like develop and evolve and refine, because what they already had was beautiful, but they just like need to reassess how everything looks and just have that injection. They don't need something, completely brand new from the beginning. When you think about, huge, successful brands over the world, you even just obvious, it's like Coca-Cola and stuff. They haven't really changed.
No.
Or Cadbury's. Those word marks are beautiful and they've slightly tweaked and elevated, but essentially they're the same, aren't they? Even like the colours are pretty much the same. So I think a lot of, businesses, we have people come to us and they have a great brand and they just want a rebrand. And we've talked ourselves out of tons of work in the past because we're like, you don't need a rebrand. What you've got is beautiful, but you're just not using it effectively and beautifully. There's so much more we can do with this. So we want to work with you, but we don't have to like chuck it all in the bin.
Yeah.
Like, let's just like see what you've got and like move it forward. And then usually people are like, oh, that's good. I don't have to rebrand every like 5 years.
And they feel the love for it again then, don't they? And I can talk from my own personal experience here. Is not that long ago we went through that exact same process and came to you and said, Kelly, we're 8-9 years in and starting to feel that I don't enjoy looking at my own website anymore. And we're putting up stuff at like business fairs and I'm looking at the collateral and thinking, oh God, it just doesn't excite me anymore. Yeah. And we went through that same thing of you don't need to change it. It's just developing it a little bit slightly. And just that little refresh and going through that exercise and taking time to assess where we want to go, where we've been, what's important to us. Did a brilliant exercise around personas, like who are the people that we want to be working with? What do our clients look like? And you asked us all those questions about where do they shop? Where do they, like, what do they do for fun at the weekends? And it's
we went quite deep, didn't we? We actually, and it wasn't just like, what car do they drive and when do they go on holiday? It was, we actually created like real people. We got so deep into those.
The team
users.
Just loved it, didn't they?
Yeah, there was like non-stop chatter and like laughing. Yes.
What's their relationship status?
Yeah. And but I mean, it's a fun exercise to do, and that's a fun workshop to do, the Finding Your Muse workshop. But it's just so important to like know who your audience is. And we always think, if here is your business and it's there, honestly, your branding, your identity, you need to be like at least like 20-30% ahead of where you actually are, to give yourself like time over the next few years to like grow up to that level. So always go beyond, like, you know, it's like, so when we like chat with our, you know, clients and business owners, and they say, oh, you know, this is what we're doing at the moment, and we've had this amazing client in this year, and we absolutely, you know, it was a joy to work with them and produce, you know, this item for them, and it was really profitable, and we'd love to have more people like that. And it's just like, well, why don't we like create content, you know,
directed
80% around that one single person, and like, you know, and then the funny thing, ooh, what surprise, in a year's time you've got loads more of that type of client. I think sometimes people think it's kind of greedy to do that, and it isn't. You know, we're all here just once, and I think it takes a really special kind of person to create a business and take that risk. You know, we're risk takers. We're dreamers, aren't we? People that start businesses, we're dreamers, we're risk takers. We do, what do they say? We work 100 hours a week so that we don't have to do 40 for somebody else. Duh.
I know, when you look back at it
yeah,
like that,
exactly. So might as well do what, you know, what we love and go after the clients. You know, if somebody like sat down with you in the room with a piece of A4 paper and said, right, the clock's on, you've got like literally 3 minutes, you've got 3 minutes to write down everything you want to accomplish in your business, you'd know it from the bottom of your heart exactly what you wanted to do with your business. But why don't we just actually, you know, look at what it is that we want to put out there in the world? I think we just get too stuck on the hamster wheel of thinking, well, you know, playing it safe and stuff.
Or comparing ourselves to others, or not being brave enough, and like you say, it feeling greedy, or even thinking, oh, it seems a bit like I'm showing off.
Yeah, and worrying what other people think. Yeah. I think, you just can't worry, because I you know, as a business, if you're working in a business, you own a business, you know, you're a person in a business that is able to make decisions to evolve that business. You've just got to be brave and just think, it's irrelevant what my competitor's doing. This, you know, this is what we want to create, and, you know, and just go for it. I'm sure, you know, and it just frees you. It gives you a lot of freedom. Yeah. Because you don't have to waste your time like worrying about what other people are doing, because you'll find your audience. They'll come to you because they'll go, oh,
and it takes,
thank goodness. That's who I want to work with. I get them. They're my kind of people. Yeah.
Because if you think, well, if I know who my muses are, I know who my ideal clients are, anything else is kind of noise that you can get rid of. You don't have to think about. So it actually makes decision making easier within your business, where you know, is that the sort of business we want to work with, whether it's a client coming in or you going out for third party sort of services, outsourcing part of your work. You know, do they fit what I'm doing? Does that opportunity align with what I want to do? So I know from our own experience that understanding your brand and kind of living and breathing it does make that route much straighter, I think.
And I think, you know, even just touching, you know, going back to that muse thing, I think even that first week after we spent that time together with your team, you know, you were able to make decisions really quickly for that, you know, in those 7 days post doing that workshop, because suddenly you thought, oh, I don't, you know, we're only focusing on like these 3, you know, characters, these 3 muses for our business, and we just can't worry about pleasing everyone. So it just streamlines your decision making process. It makes it so much easier to create storytelling and communications and talking directly to the people that, you know, that you've put your flag in the ground, and you've decided who the audience is that you want to communicate with and work with in future, and it just makes things simpler.
So this is a process that somebody that's maybe missed that boat originally, hasn't put the time to the brand, maybe does have a logo and some fonts and colour palettes and thinks they're ready to go. And we were exactly like that, you know, hands up. We wanted to get started, we wanted to go and find our first few clients and work for them. But actually you're saying if somebody is a year, 10 years, however long in, and actually has realised that maybe they're not aligned with what's going out to people on their social media, or how their values are communicated within their teams, or what clients they're going for. This is the sort of thing that someone can do, is have that brand reevaluation at any point.
It's never too late. Literally could, exactly. At any stage in your business, this is, you know, there's never a wrong time to start this. And it's a really enjoyable process as well. So I would, really, really encourage people to think about, not just their customer personas. I mean, it sounds so dry, doesn't it? But actually, when you do this well and you do it, really, you really deeply get into these characters, they really become real life in your mind. And I think, only some time can do that. And it doesn't take too long. It's probably like an afternoon, a day, to kind of get these nailed. And they definitely should be reviewed, I would say, like every couple of years as well, to ensure that, again, that they're always that 20-30% ahead of where your business is. So, ideally in a successful process, you'd create your muses, you'd work to them, you could review them after a few years, your business is, successfully, doing well. But then, you want to, perhaps you want to continue that growth. So that's the time where you go back to your muses and go, right, are these right for the next few years? Do they need to be tweaked? And that's the thing with business, it does develop, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe some of the clients, or if you're a product-based business, maybe some of the products that you've been putting out there, maybe they're developing as well, and so is your audience. So this is always something that you should come back to. It shouldn't be something that's like shoved in a drawer and forgotten about. Oh, we've done that exercise. This is
you wouldn't just do one financial forecast, for example.
No.
You wouldn't start your business and say, okay, I've done a financial forecast that should last me for the next 10 years. I shouldn't need to look back at this or reflect on it or see if it's changed. The same as health and safety reviews, recruitment policy, at any sort of imperative part of your business you wouldn't leave and not look at. So,
and I think people do leave the creative side of things because it's just not their thing. And people don't know where to start, and it feels mysterious, and and they just don't feel in control of it. And that's the thing that I personally love about design and branding. To me, it feels so completely natural and exciting, and I'm so driven by business and all things creative. And I just think it is wildly exciting how impactful and how positive it is for business. And I know that you love your numbers, so I'm going to hit you up with some.
Okay.
But big headline
You've come with
facts.
numbers.
I've come with numbers, which I'm not a numbers person. But so this is like 3 great facts for you. And shares in design-led businesses have performed the FTSE 100 by more than 200% over the past decade. What? So let's just think about this. Should we invest in design and, creative services in our business over the next year? If we do, then potentially, then we're going to really increase our profits. For every 100 sterling pounds a designer-led business spends on design, turnover increases by 225. Hello. So I'm going to spend £100, in design of one form or another. That could be, some beautifully new design brochures. That could be a new website. That could be a really beautiful branded photo shoot of, our products or our team. And for every £100 that I invest in design for my business, I get a return of £225.
Again, no brainer.
Why would you not do that? Seriously. But you're not going to get those figures from working with somebody, knocking up a logo in 5 minutes, getting some
or
brand
an AI
colours.
designed. I know we weren't going to touch on AI
No,
because that's a whole other
that.
podcast. But AI and creative is it's something else. But you're talking about really considered, curated brand. And
exactly. And then just simply businesses that add value through design see a greater impact on their business performance than all other businesses. I mean, there's so much resource for this. Creative industries is worth, an absolute fortune in the UK. I obviously never want to get political with me, but the way that creative industries and education is being dismissed in this UK obviously drives a lot of us creatives mad, because it brings in so much finance and investment and brilliant opportunities in this country. But yeah, you don't have to do much searching around to find the Design Council UK information. And there's like fantastic reports online that you can download, their white papers with all the figures around investing in design for a business. So, but I think business owners, just get nervous around the whole creative process. They think it's a bit woo woo. We just, and don't realize how powerful it is. I always think the 3 elements of a successful brand, the design element, the design, the aesthetics, the photography and the imagery, and the copywriting and the tone of voice. Get those 3 elements right.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So top tips.
I mean, there's none of those areas have got more priority over the other. They're an equal, pie.
Yeah. I love the chart references as well.
Pie.
Thank you. So, I've got down here a couple of things that you've got about questions to ask yourself. So if somebody's listening to this and it's really resonating and thinking, do you know what, I've not given my brand enough love, and not enough love that it deserves, and maybe it's time that I start thinking about it. What are those questions for people to ask themselves?
Yeah, well, I think there's that thing as well, like, that awkward thing, what's your why, and all of that kind of stuff. It's like people are just like, oh, I don't know, or they come up with the same answers. Oh, it's for my family, or or actually a lot of people would be like, oh, I want to earn 6-figure sum, or I want a business that's going to turn over a 7-figure sum. Oh, I nearly swore then because but that's nonsense, isn't it? Your brand purpose can't be, oh, I'm doing this for my family. I'm sorry, but like, you care about your family, or you might care about earning a 6-figure sum, but no one else cares about that. You're not going to design a successful like brand around those kind of like purpose. Your purpose is, what is it that you love, that you deeply, honestly, profoundly love. When we look at this with you, turning the spotlight on you, Laura, the thing that about you that you love, which we know now, but
10 years later,
but kindness and compassion.
Yeah,
that's it. Obviously numbers, but kindness and compassion. That's what you profoundly love about people and the organisation. So that's not that's not something that you've just written on a board for a day and you're like, oh, I'm really compassionate and I'm want to be kind and caring. Like, this is like genuinely who you are, like a stick of rock that goes like right through you, and that's the business that you've created, a business that's of course you're looking after all of your clients and their financials and stuff, but you've created an environment that is so special. It's so special and it's unique to you, and it might not be for everyone. That's okay. We don't need to, be it for everyone. We just need to find our people, as a business. So yeah, you need to, to uncover your purpose. It's always like, what is it that you love deeply, honestly, profoundly, and not one of those like random, oh, I do it for my family. Everyone's going to say that. We all want to like earn a big fat paycheck. That's a given. So that's not unique. That's not a unique thing about you, but there is something unique about everybody in their business. And then the second question I would say to people listening is like to find out what your magic is and like truly like what your gifts are. And sometimes it's really hard to know what your gifts are. So a really good way to do this is, I would say, ask your closest people around you, because often people around you can tell you really simply what it is about you that's your gift. Like, I think there's things about you that are your gift, that you're able to communicate really complex information in a really simple way. Like, that is a gift.
Thank you.
Like, that is a gift. You have many gifts. But like, in terms of like business, that is just like a true gift. And when you talk to people, it's so personable. I think one of the gifts, if we're going to, not make it all about you, Laura.
Thanks.
But this is something that, again, has been communicated to me over the years. So now I just have to own it. But I help people feel relaxed.
You do.
And when Darren and I work together with our clients, people always say, we just feel relaxed. People unburden themselves. They tell us everything from like almost our first meeting. They just like can come into a room and we just have an energy about us that is authentic and relaxed. And actually I worked with a business coach, a brilliant business coach a few years ago, Jess. And she helped us with some tone of voice, and she wrote something about us that really gave me the ick when I heard it. I read it and I was like, ew, that's just like gross. But she said, you guys create a safe space for your clients. And I just thought that was horrible. I was like, I don't know why, but it really triggered me. I was like, a safe space, like, you know. But the more I thought about it, and then the more I discussed it with her and owned it, I was like, God damn you, woman.
I feel seen.
I have been seen. And she was so right, because we do create this safe space for clients to just really tell us their dreams. And sometimes like clients tell us their dreams and they are just so like magnificent. You know, they have these magnificent dreams and they're almost embarrassed, but like they're a little bit embarrassed, but at the same time they want to tell us because they know that we are just like, wow, why didn't you tell us that a few years ago? You know, it's like they've taken a while to like, actually, this is, you know, I'm safe with you. So like working out what your gift is, what is the gift that you have in the world? Obviously mine is chattering as well.
I just love listening.
And, but yeah, so like, what is it that you love deeply, honestly, profoundly? And what is your magic, the gift that you have there to offer the world? And then the third one, which I honestly think is really tricky, and you're not going to get it in a day. You know, this is something that you're going to have to work really like quite deeply on yourself. But in life, what is it that you feel responsible for? So, and you know, for me personally, I feel like when I obviously love working with business owners, whether it's a huge company or just like a, you know, much smaller outfit, but I just always feel really personal that we can create them an honest and beautiful and purpose-led brand. And I just feel responsible for telling the truth, which is why the truth comes out. When I say that, I think about a meeting I perhaps had a few years ago. Do you remember? We won't share any names, but it was in a very large building, a beautiful, like Edwardian, would you say? Edwardian Victorian professional services building.
I feel like we need a whole podcast about
the cars in the car park, you know, they're all, you know, top of the range, you know, cars in the car park, you know, all the cars are absolutely mint. And, you know, all the professionals in that office, you know, they're all, you know, hugely successful, very professional corporate. And I went into the waiting room and I wasn't entirely happy with some of the furniture that I was sitting on, I'll be honest. Yeah. It was really old furniture, that's all I'm going to say. And you could just tell that furniture had been handed down, you know, and it had been around for a long time and it wasn't clean. And so I just was completely honest in that, you know, that meeting with that potential client and said, you know, part of me doesn't believe what you're saying because you're not showing your potential clients a good authentic experience. So if I go to your website, it tells me that you guys are, you know, leading XYZ across the Southwest. You have multiple offices, you know, and you're obviously doing a great service, but you're dropping the ball because people are coming in with either really exciting things to come and share with you, but it also could be really stressful things. You know, any professional business, whoever you're going to see, it could be that you're going through a period of stress in your life and something deeply personal. And you're giving them, you know, not a very nice experience of like just sitting in the waiting room. And we can see where all your money's being spent. We can see it in the car park. And that for me, that's like inauthentic branding. And so for me, it doesn't matter what your website looks like or what you're saying. And if I go to an event and you're doing a keynote speech and you're saying all the right things, I'm going to remember that skanky furniture that I had to sit on in that waiting room because that's not, you know,
it's escalated.
It's not on. I mean, yeah, anyway.
Well, I think you so eloquently and beautifully, maybe apart from the last two minutes, discuss the importance of branding and actually
it's
how
really important. Every little detail is important.
Yeah. And things that you might just make do with or not think are important are actually some of the things that your clients and your customers might be the first things or only things.
It's respecting them as well. It's respecting your clients and your audience. You know, that at the end of the day, without them, you don't have a business. Yeah. So you need to respect your client, your audience, and your team, because one person on their own doesn't create, you know, a huge successful business. You need all the people around you. You need your team, and you also need, your customers, your clients, your audience. So you need to, that's, you know, my purpose in life is to try and help our clients be honest and create, you know, the most beautiful experience they can.
Well, thank you so much. It's been, I mean, I knew it would be good fun talking with you today. And we will be sharing all of your details so that people that want to kind of, maybe today something's popped and they just think, actually, I do need to give my brand a little bit of love. Yeah. And, you know, Kelly might be the girl for the job. So,
or not,
depending on your furniture. But thank you so much again. It's been incredible to just understand a little bit more about branding your business.
Oh, thanks.